Okay, so this is Charlotte's Web we're going to read today, and it's going to be the first reading video on our channel.
So last night we started with chapter 1, which was before breakfast, but Luke's going to tell you what you missed so that you're caught up for chapter 2. And what did they miss?
So what you missed was before breakfast. So back here we start. So
What happened so far?
So Papa was, and Fern had a question. Where's Papa going with that axe? And so, well, basically he tried to pull it because if you can see down here, because she was trying to save the pig. Because he was gonna kill the pig.
Why was he going to kill the pig?
Because, well, there's no why he's gonna kill the pig. It's why Fern is getting that axe.
Well, he was going to kill the pig because it was a runt. And because he thought that it would end up dying anyway, right?
Yeah.
But Fern said no. She's like, no, I'm not going to let you kill that pig. I'm going to take care of the pig, right?
Yeah.
And then that's the brother. He wanted a pig too, but he didn't get one because he didn't wake up early enough. So then the dad, he ended up giving Fern the pig to be able to take care of. And so here she is in the kitchen feeding it like a little baby before she went to school and before breakfast.
That's really cute if you zoom in.
Yeah.
That's a cute little baby.
Cute little baby pig. So then now we're on chapter 2 and we're going to find out what happens next.
Chapter 2 is Wilbur. So let's go.
Fern loved Wilbur more than anything. She loved to stroke him, to feed him, to put him to bed. Every morning, as soon as she got up, she warmed his milk, tied his bib on, and held the bottle for him. Every afternoon, when the school bus stopped in front of her house, she jumped out and ran to the kitchen to fix another bottle for him. She fed him again at supper time, and again just before bed. Mrs. Arable gave him a feeding around noontime each day when Fern was away at school. Wilbur loved his milk, and he was never happier than when Fern was warming up a bottle for him. He would stand and gaze up at her with adoring eyes. For the first few days of his life, Wilbur was allowed to live in a box near the stove in the kitchen. Then Mrs. Arable complained. He was moving to a bigger box in the woodshed. At 2 weeks of age, he was moved outdoors. It was apple blossom time, and the days were getting warmer. Mr. Arable fixed a small yard specially for Wilbur under the apple tree and gave him a large wooden box full of straw with the doorway cut in it so that he could walk in and out as he pleased. "Won't he be cold at night?" asked Fern. "No," said her father. "You watch and see what he does." Carrying a bottle of milk, Fern sat down under the apple tree inside the yard. Wilbur ran to her, and she held the bottle for him while he sucked. When he had finished the last drop, he grunted and walked sleepily into the box. Fern peered through the door. Wilbur was poking the straw with his snout. In a short time, he had dug a tunnel in the straw. He crawled into the tunnel and disappeared from sight, completely covered with the straw. Fern was enchanted. It relieved her mind to know that her baby would sleep covered up and would stay warm. Every morning after breakfast, Wilbur walked out to the road with Fern and waited with her until the bus came. She would have a goodbye to him, and he would stand and watch the bus until it vanished around a turn. While Fern was in school, Wilbur was shut up inside the yard. But as soon as he got home, In the afternoon, she'd take him out, and he'd follow her around the place. If she went to the house, Wilbur went too. If she went upstairs, Wilbur would wait at the bottom step until she came down again. If she took her doll for a walk in the doll carriage, Wilbur followed along. Sometimes on these journeys, Wilbur would get tired, and Fern would pick him up and put him in the carriage alongside the doll. He liked this. And if he was very tired, he would close his eyes and go to sleep under the doll's blanket. He looked cute when his eyes were closed because his lashes were so long. The doll would close her eyes too, and Fern would wheel the carriage very slowly and smoothly as to not wake her infants. One warm afternoon, Fern and Avery put on bathing suits and went down to the brook for a swim. Wilbur tagged along at Fern's heels, and when she waded into the brook, Wilbur waded with her. He found the water quite cold, too cold for his liking, so while the children swam and played and splashed water at each other, Wilbur amused himself in the mud at the edge of the brook, where it was warm and moist and delightfully sticky and oozy. Every day was a happy day, and every night was peaceful. Wilbur was what farmers call a spring pig, which simply meant that he was born in the springtime. When he was 5 weeks old, Mr. Arable said that he was now big enough to sell and would have to be sold. Fern broke down and wept, but her father was firm about it, and Wilbur's appetite had increased. He was beginning to eat scraps of food in addition to milk. Mr. Arable was not willing to provide it for him any more. He had already sold Wilbur's 10 brothers and sisters. "He's got to go, Fern," he said. "You've had your fun raising a baby pig, but Wilbur is not a baby any longer, and he has got to be sold." "Call up the Zuckermans," suggested Mrs. Arable to Fern. "Your Uncle Homer sometimes raises a pig, and if Wilbur goes there to live, you can walk down the road and visit him as often as you like." "How much money should I ask for him?" Fern wanted to know. "Well," said her father, "he's a runt. Tell your Uncle Homer you've got a pig. You'll sell him for $6 and see what he says." It was soon arranged, and Fern phoned and got her Aunt Edith, and her Aunt Edith hollered for Uncle Homer, and Uncle Homer came in from the barn and talked to Fern. When he heard the price was only $6, he said he would buy the pig. Next day, Wilbur was taken from his home under the apple tree and went to live in a manure pile in the cellar of the Zuckerman's barn. And that's the end of chapter 2.
So in the next video, we'll read chapter 3, Escape.